Hey, thanks for joining us today for our episode of Homeschool for the Soul. This is my friend Debra. She's with an organization called Freedom 424. This week in our homeschool series, we're talking to different organizations that are taking the gospel out into the world, regardless of whether or not the church doors are open or closed. Jesus is on the move and his church is on the move. And so Debra's here to talk with us a little bit about Freedom 424. As a church, we've partnered with you before, Debra, with a 5K that you guys put on. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But tell me about yourself and tell me about the organization that you are representing.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Debra Montague. I live here in Azusa. I have 3 little kiddos who hopefully don't pop through this door. And I got involved in Freedom 424 about 5 or 6 years ago. I heard about the race through a local church, and I just thought, okay, I want to know more about this. I was already involved in some anti-human trafficking organizations, and so then I just participated. That was my first thing. Okay, I'm going to come in, I'm going to participate. And then lo and behold, they needed a new organizer. So I stepped up and said, okay, I'll volunteer. And in the past, of course, we've done it in person. It's been at Finkbeiner Park. It's always the first Saturday in June, which is, kind of like right after school's wrapping up and, Memorial Day weekend. And then we have the race. Of course, this year we're going to be doing it virtually. So that'll be totally different, but it's still, like you said, social distancing doesn't stop the problem of human trafficking, and it still exists. So we're still out there and, trying to spread the word through, just even if it's just through creating awareness. Hey, why are you walking? Hey, even if you're just in your own neighborhood, it's still, your version of fighting against this atrocity of human trafficking.
Right. And, Freedom 424, as you guys partner with, other organizations, like I know locally, there are actually some places that you guys partner with. I'd love to hear a little bit about like who those organizations are, what they do, and the ways in which they've helped rescue women in need.
Yes. So locally in the San Gabriel Valley and LA County, we are partnering with Redeeming Love and Two Wings and Treasures. Treasures is a survivor-led organization, which is kind of rare. The founder, her name is Harmony Grillo, and she basically, came out of the industry and became a huge advocate. And, if you go to their website, you'll see that it's basically like 90%, I think it quotes 90% of all of the porn industry is produced here in LA County and sent out to the masses. And so you would imagine that a lot of these women might be free to make this work, but the truth is just that they're not. And so she's a real advocate to go in, and she actually does a lot of work with the women, like to bring them to a place where they can find work or get the counseling that they need, and really equipping the women who have been victims of human trafficking or even just victims of that manipulation and the pressures of, this John, they call him Johns, which is basically like the man in charge of the woman taking money from her for this. This John really loves me, and he's, after this certain amount of time that I do this, he's going to take care of me. We're going to have this different life. And, it's just a lie that it's just so hard when you see women that are, in this world. But there is hope, and the hope is in the form of, us, and the Treasures organization has seen success with a lot of women who have been able to exit and become survivors and then become advocates. And, when you meet those women, you're like, they are on fire. They're ready to, when you hear the word victim, you think of like a weak person. But then when you hear the word survivor, you're like, they really are, they've been through it, but then they help others.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is like we don't have a good vocabulary around this stuff. I realized that I took my kids to in and out. I think it was this summer, and they had signs out, you know, to bring awareness for sex trafficking. And my, like, at that time, kindergartner looks at me and goes, "Dad, what's sex trafficking?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to have
I
this
know, it's hard.
and part of why I realized, like, I don't know how to have that is I don't talk about it with my friends. Like, we don't have a vocabulary for this. And
No.
I saw you, you know, quickly go from talking about sex trafficking to then the porn industry. And I think for a lot of people, like, they don't make that connection. They might watch CSI Miami and think, oh, sex trafficking is when people come, like, you know, in these crates and they're chained up. It's not always that, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's this whole different thing that we don't always think about when we think of rescuing women from sex trafficking, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's what you imagine. You imagine that, these women are tied up in some strange basement, but they are tied up. It's just not by like, links. It's they're emotionally tied up, or they're hooked on drugs, or they're promised this life. I'll tell you, one of the girls that we are running for this year's race, this just went out to all the people that have signed up for the race, or if you've signed up in years past, you'll get this email. But her name is Natasha, and I don't know if you've been to the race, then we write the names of the girls on our arm, and we basically say, like, hey, we're running for Natasha or Priscilla. And Natasha was just 17 years old, living in Virginia, when she had a friend with an opportunity to work in New York City. When they arrived, however, Natasha was taken to a house where her friend was beaten and raped in front of her. They were both abused and raped and forced to upwards of 100 clients a night. She became a trap, she came there with this idea of, I'm going to become, this model, or I'm going to have this career. And instantly it was changed to, no, you're going to be manipulated and, used in this way for 2 years. And she couldn't imagine a life of freedom, but there is hope, a light that shines in the darkness. Natasha was able to escape and found a refuge back in Virginia. One of Freedom 424's partners, Street Ransom in Roanoke, Virginia, was able to help Natasha. She received treatment, encouragement, additional resources. She's no longer a victim, but a survivor. And then it goes on to say, basically, the race is $24, and when you sign up for the race, they do that $24 because they figure that's about how much money it would take to be able to help one victim become a survivor.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And, to think through, there are organizations out there, regardless of, COVID-19 or not, who are actively pursuing and rescuing these women and giving them the resources they need to be able to figure out what next looks like. So many of them
Right.
feel trapped because they don't know how to picture what next could even be, right?
Yeah.
And Jesus gives us that hope, right?
Yeah,
We get
that's
to share that
right.
hope with others. It's so good. Debra, if somebody wanted to take part in the virtual 5K this year, they might not hear about it in their church announcements because we're all
It's so
dispersed and
crazy.
deployed. So help others sign up to be a part of this virtual 5K and walk me through when it's happening, what that looks like.
Okay. So since it's virtual, you can be anywhere in the world, and you just walk in your own neighborhood. You literally, we're not going to send out t-shirts or anything this year. Normally you get like a cool t-shirt and a medal and a gift bag that has Chick-fil-A in it and all sorts of stuff. And I'm so sad because we aren't going to have those hot, awesome, like chicken biscuits right after the race, but next year. So for this year, you just walk in your neighborhood. You literally just find a path that's 5K. And honestly, this is not about like completing an exact 5K. If you're out of shape, like a lot of the world is, just walk and you write it on your arm in a Sharpie, and like Natasha, and there's 3 different names, and you can just say, like, hey, this is my version of putting it out there. You post it to social media, you tag Freedom 424. If you want to sign up, the website is glendora.freedom424.org. And that will take you to the place to sign up. That will take you to the place where it'll give you instructions too. So it has all the FAQs, frequently asked questions that you might be curious about. And then we're all going to walk together. We're going to do a Facebook Live, and it'll just have a video, and it'll say, okay, at this time, when you sign up, it'll give you the exact rundown. And then we'll kind of say, like, go. And then we'll even go walk. Normally I don't get to walk because there's so many things, but I'm going to go walk, and then we'll post our photos to social media just to know that we're in it together. We can all look at the hashtags and know that, like, wow, all around the world. I grew up in Missouri, so there's a big group of people in Missouri that are walking, and of course, there's a bunch of people in Glendora and Azusa, San Dimas, Laverne. So join us. I pray that you join us, and you kind of like, maybe this is your first step. Everybody has an aha moment where they're like, oh my, this is happening in San Gabriel Valley. This is happening in Azusa and Glendora and San Dimas. Like, no way. But it is. Unfortunately, it is. And we've met these survivors, so we know. And it's so hard. I know the conversation's so hard, just like you said, Anthony. It's hard. I have little kids too. I don't want to talk about the porn industry in front of them either, but it's the reality, and my conviction comes from a place of, I want to be a voice for the voiceless. They don't have a voice. And if the roles were reversed and I was in their spot, I would pray somebody like you and I would take the time to be that voice, because it's powerful, and I guess I just realized very acutely that it could be me. It could, I look like some of the survivors, and so that's what motivates me to do this. That's what motivates me to take the time. I know time is such a valuable thing, but yeah, if you guys would do it with me and join with me, I would be so honored.
That's great. That's great. People can hop on that Freedom 424 website. You had also told me, hey, and if somebody, lives somewhere else in the country, they'd absolutely be a part of this virtual 5K. If they wanted to get involved with an organization that has kind of boots on the ground, rescuing women, because maybe this is their aha moment. Yours happened.
Yeah.
You're watching a movie when your aha moment happened, right? So for some people, it could be watching this video today.
Yeah.
How do you Google how to help women like this? Like, what kind of organization should we be looking for?
Right. I mean, there are great, even Freedom 424 is like a international organization. They do missions trips. You can come from anywhere to go to, Bangkok, Thailand, or to Gulu, Uganda. But if you're wanting something local, I guarantee you, if you just Google anti-human trafficking, your city, it will pop up. Something will pop up. In the middle of nowhere, Missouri, I was on the board of an organization, Central Missouri Stop Human Trafficking Coalition. So wherever you are, there are people that are fighting it, because it's everywhere. It's in the middle of Missouri nowhere. It's in, of course it's in LA County. So, wherever you are, yeah, just Google it. And then you can also find I know for a long time I was working with, anti-slavery organizations that were nationwide. So just look for what's your fit. Not everybody's going to like we're doing it. I used to go to truck stops. I remember going to truck stops and making people aware that this is happening. If you see this, call this number. I used to put bars of soap in hotel rooms, if you're in danger, call this number. So, there's a lot of different ways to help, but one of the least alarming ways and easiest ways is to walk. So, that's why we're here today, but you can get involved a lot of different ways.
That's really good. Well, Debra, thanks for spending some time with us. Hopefully people take some next steps into helping others. In this season where so many of us, our normal has been disrupted, we're starting to find a new normal. And our hope is, as a church, I know in your organization, our hope is that in our new normal, we might put into rhythms that we didn't have before of helping others, and being involved in this 5K could be really cool. Thanks for hanging out, Debra. And
yes, God bless you guys.
Thank you so much. You take care.
All right. Bye.